Hi everyone, how are we doing? Thanks for joining me again for another video. Today I want to speak a little bit about Cambodia and in particular Siem Reap. Now, if you're a regular viewer to my channel, you will have known that I recently visited Siem Reap. I actually went to look at the temples and just have a general look around, but I did spend quite a bit of my free time doing a little bit of research. Now, I'm not thinking about moving to Cambodia. I love living in Thailand. But the thing is, I wanted to come up with a B plan. The rules are changing all the time here in Thailand. In the old days, for instance, you could stay here forever. You just got in a minibus and you went over the border someplace, Cambodia, and you did that once a month and nobody was worried about it as long as you had a current stamp in your passport. But those days have long gone now. Immigration has tightened up, quite rightly so. And they're always changing the rules and making it tougher, although they do welcome well-behaved guests into the kingdom, as always. Now, what would happen if they suddenly changed the rules and they said, okay, well, if you're on a retirement visa, I'm talking about generally, not just me. If you're on a retirement visa currently, you need 800,000 baht in the bank, or you need to show 65,000 baht a month income coming in every month. Now, what would happen if they changed that and said, you need 3 million in the bank, or even 5 million, or you need to show 100 or 120,000 a month coming in? A lot of people just couldn't do it. Myself, for one, I couldn't show 3 million in the bank. I have assets and everything, but liquid cash, I couldn't do it. So it got me to thinking, if the worst came to the worst and I had to leave Thailand, where would I go? I've got no particular interest in going to places like Hong Kong, Singapore, Korea, Japan. They don't really interest me. I've been to the Philippines. It didn't really do it. It's quite a nice place, but it's not really my sort of place. I'm giving you a personal opinion now. I haven't been to Vietnam. Maybe that's another one to take a look at. But I went to Cambodia 25 years ago and Siem Reap this time. And I'm asking myself the question, if the worst came to the worst and I had to leave Thailand, could I live in Cambodia? I've done a bit of research online. I went there recently, as I've just said, and I want to tell you my findings and I want to give you my personal opinion. Now, by no means am I an expert on Cambodia. I've spent very little time there, but from what time I have spent there and from what I've seen, I'd like to share with you today. And at the end, I'll give you my conclusion. I'll let you know, is it a place I actually think that I could stay? So the first thing I want to talk about as far as Cambodia goes, well, let's talk about Siem Reap, not Cambodia. I'm talking about Siem Reap because it's like comparing Bangkok to maybe Hua Hin. They're completely different, aren't they? I wouldn't want to live in the capital. I went there about 25 years ago. I'm getting older. If I move and retire properly, then it'd be somewhere smaller like Siem Reap. And Siem Reap is geared up for tourists. That's what I particularly like about it, which I'll go through here. So first of all, as far as Siem Reap goes, let's talk about crime. From what I can gather, it's very, very safe. There is the occasional pickpocketing in tourist areas, things like that, if you're not careful. But then that's everywhere, isn't it? And from what I've read, crime against tourists, like vicious crime, violent crime, is very, very rare. So I don't think that's something to worry about in Siem Reap. The next thing is the people. How are the people compared to Thailand? Well, quite frankly, I found them very, very friendly. It reminded me of when I first came to Thailand 30 years ago. Now, the Thais are still nice people, don't get me wrong, but they're different. They've got to learn. When I first got here 30 years ago, there hadn't been a lot of foreigners. There weren't a lot of foreigners coming here just on holiday, as it were. There were business people here, people who work for companies and things. And over the years, a lot of the foreigners who come here have not been well behaved, and they grind down the staff, and they're not as friendly and polite as they used to be, and a lot of that's got to do with our fault, not theirs. Okay, so as far as Cambodia, that hasn't happened yet. I found the staff all extremely, very, very friendly, very nice. They still give you the why when you go in. Tuk-tuk drivers, for example, amazing. Most of them spoke the language because there's so many tourists there. Very friendly, didn't try to rip me off. And in some cases, they'd say, well, you pay me what you think I'm worth. And so the people come across as extremely genuine, friendly, and it didn't come across as fake. So that's the first thing. The visa system, from what I gather, is a lot easier in Cambodia than what it is in Thailand. I've just gone through the process of what you need to do to obtain a visa here in Thailand. in Cambodia, it's a lot easier. You're going to go for the E-class visa as opposed to the tourist visa, and then once you're there, you'd apply for something called an EB visa, I believe it is. But it's just nothing like Thailand. So I believe you can, if you use an agent, you can get the year-long. There's no such thing as a retirement visa in Cambodia. Okay, it's kind of a business visa, but they don't have a problem. Nobody has a problem staying on year after year after year. And from what I can gather, if you use an agent, the cost is going to cost you around $300 a year to get a year visa in Cambodia. There's no stipulation that you have to go to immigration or go online every 3 months. There's no minimum amount you have to have in the bank. Okay, it's that simple. So again, if you're one of this video is really for people who are going to retire out here and they're thinking, is Thailand getting a bit expensive? Is there an alternative? So just with the visa there, the money you're going to save, $300 a year, you put it into perspective with what you need to stay in Thailand. Is that a correct word I've just said there? Okay, let me talk about the food a little bit. Now, I wasn't there for a whole I wasn't there for a long period, but I did make the effort and I did try some Cambodian food. One of the things that winds me up more than anything is when I make a video here in Thailand, just going off subject a little bit, but when I make a video here in Thailand and I might go out for a pizza or show somebody I've had good fish and chips, I always get the same comments where people say, you're in Thailand, what are you doing eating foreign food? You should be eating Thai food. And my answer to that is, yeah, if you come here for 2 weeks, that's all well and good. But when you live here full time, you can't eat Thai food for breakfast, lunch and dinner 365 days a year. And anybody who says they can, I'd be very dubious about it. So it's the same thing. If you go out to Cambodia, you're going to want your own home food, aren't you? So I tried everything. Now, the good thing about Siem Reap in particular, because of the temples and there's so many tourists going there, and they're not gangs of young men or mongers and not them sort of tourists. It's mainly couples, okay, families and couples, but for the most part, couples. And you see young couples anywhere from kind of, 24, 25, going right up to 40, 50. They're real tourists, they go there to look at the many temples. So first of all, talking about the foreign food, because there are so many foreigners who go there for the temples, and they all congregate in one area, and that's generally Pub Street. So if you lived there and you thought to yourself, oh, I fancy a pizza or I fancy a steak or something, it is available. You don't necessarily have to live in a tourist area. You could live in the city, and I did go into the city, and it's very, very clean in the centre of town. And I'll talk about apartments and things in a bit. But you've got that on hand. It's like I can compare it to Pattaya. It's like living in Jomtien, for instance, just as an example. And you want to go out and have a Burger King. Okay, I don't know if they've got a Burger King in Jomtien, but if they didn't, just for the sake of this video, it's 10 minutes over to Pattaya, and you've got everything: Burger King, McDonald's, a whole range. So it's similar in Cambodia. If you wanted some foreign food, it's available for you. Now, the thing with the Thai food, it's dirt cheap. If you go to the market, I had a meal on next on the river. They've got some great little markets there, and the food's delicious. It's very similar to Thai food, but it's not spicy. It's completely not spicy at all. In fact, I had a problem because I had to keep asking them to put lots of chilies in them. They're kind of looking at me like, are you sure? But the food was nice. A typical Cambodian chicken fried rice, for instance, $1.50. Okay, what's that, 50 baht? Very, very cheap. If you eat foreign food, you're going to pay anywhere between $4 and $6. Now, the dollars is the currency in Cambodia. When you go to an ATM machine and you make a withdrawal, you're going to get US dollars. The local currency ringgit is basically, it's used for small change. Okay, you can spend it, but it's small change. Now, if you withdraw dollars from an ATM machine, the charge is quite high. It's between $4 and $6 a transaction. So you'd need to keep that in mind. There are probably cheaper ways to get your hands on your money, maybe go into the bank and withdraw it. If you live there, you'd find all of this out. But generally, it's dollars. So when you're talking about the currency, that's what you need to take into consideration, not the local currency. One myth as well, and I did mention this in another video that I made recently about Cambodia, is that people will tell you, if you spend a $50 note and your meal is $7, you'll get the change all in Riyadh. That's not true, especially in a tourist area. They'll give you the change in dollars from the $50, and they might have to make up $1 or $2 in Riyadh, which you can 4,000 Riyadh from memory is $1. So once you get a couple of 10,000 Riyadh, you can go and spend $2 in a market and get yourself a little meal. Okay, so you've got the best of both worlds. You've got the foreign food, which is very, very good, and on a par with Bangkok, I'd say. And then you've got the local food, and it's like everywhere else. You can go to markets or you can go to tourist areas. Now, as far as getting all your daily items, your needs, toothpaste, toiletries, everything that you need to live on, food, shopping, if you want to cook at home, I did make the effort and I had a look around. They do have a Macro, which is the kind of like a wholesaler's. They have a Lotus, a big supermarket, and they also have some independent shops. You can pretty much get anything. You haven't got any villa supermarkets, so you're not going to get exact name brands from your own country like you can get it here in Bangkok and Pattaya. That's you can get absolutely anything in Bangkok or Pattaya. It's all imported. It's not quite the same in Cambodia. I couldn't see anything. I mean, I had a really good look in the supermarkets, and I couldn't think of something like, oh, I won't be able to get it. I mean, they had just about everything, and a lot of foreign food. That's imported from Thailand, actually. Now, it's a bit of an alcoholic's paradise, is Cambodia, because alcohol is just dirt cheap. You're typically going to pay 50 cents for a half a pint of Angkor beer draft, which is peanuts. What's that, 20 baht? A bottle of spirit. I did check out, they've got a local Thai whiskey here that they sell in 7-Eleven called something like 265, and for a litre it's about 365 baht, whereas over there it's 275 baht. So it's actually cheaper in Cambodia. They have all the international brands, all the scotches, vodkas, everything. Prices, I couldn't see a lot of difference between here and here in Thailand and in Cambodia, and in fact it looked cheaper over there. If you're a smoker, which I'm not, I looked at some packets of cigarettes. They worked out UK money, let's say dollars, about $5 a pack of 20 international cigarettes. I used to smoke, so I wanted to have a look. Drum rolling tobacco, which is from the UK, I think, 50 grams, which would cost you probably £25 in the UK, $4.50. So you can pretty much get what you need to get in Cambodia. Non-tourist areas, okay, again, so I did go and explore non-tourist areas because the tourist areas are great because you can get your pizzas and your burgers and your whatever it is you need, foreign bits and pieces. Local areas is considerably cheaper. I never got food poisoning at all when I went to restaurants. As I said earlier in the video, people are friendly, the transportation is great, you can get around in tuk-tuks, dirt cheap, and the way I look at it is you could live out of a tourist area cheap, and if you needed your bits and pieces, you could go into a tourist area. Talk about transportation a little bit here. You could buy a motorbike there. The most popular scooter that I've seen there was the Honda Dream. They didn't have the selection of bikes that they have here in Thailand. You've got everything here, especially scooters. So the Honda Dream is a 125 scooter. It looks a little bit dated, but it's fine. It's $15 a day to rent a scooter in Siem Reap, double to what it is here. So if you're there, you'd probably buy one. And from what I can, talking to the tuk-tuk, I can't give you exact numbers, but the price of the scooter over there is about a third more expensive than it is here in Thailand. So if you lived here, for instance, and you went to Cambodia, like if I've got a scooter that I bought here, which was 102,000 baht, the Honda ADV 160. I'm sure I could put that in the back of a pickup truck and for a few thousand get it taken over there. But if you're not in that situation, that you could buy a scooter while you're there. But the local transportation, obviously you haven't got MRT, BTS. I don't think there's Bolt over there. I might be wrong. Somebody who's been there a long time will probably correct me on that. But certainly not in Siem Reap. But the tuk-tuks are dirt cheap, friendly guys, as I said, and you can go anywhere for a couple of dollars. You know, I mean, really good, and they'll even wait for you. I remember there was one day I can't remember, I said to him I wanted to go somewhere and he said $3. I went there and I didn't give him any guarantee of a job going back. He just said, oh, I'll wait here just in case. And I was in wherever it was I went to, I was in there for about half an hour. I think it was one of the supermarkets I was looking at, and I came out and he was there all smiles, and you know, you feel obliged then, don't you? So yeah, I did. I paid him $6 there and back, and excuse me, and I gave him a dollar tip as well. Okay. Now, when you read on forums about Cambodia, people will tell you it's dirt cheap, okay? It is cheaper than Thailand, but it's not dirt cheap. I mean, you do need a fairly decent income to live there. I think you could you could live fairly well on a pension, even from the UK. You could live pretty good. A one-bedroom apartment in Siem Reap, you're looking anywhere between $200 and $450. Now, depending on what kind of an apartment it is, obviously, will give you the price what you're going to pay per month. But even if you took the top end at $450 a month, what's that? I mean, it's not even what, 18,000 baht, 16,000 baht, I don't know. You can convert it into your own currency, but it's cheap. And you could even go cheaper than that. So if you wanted to live there and you were quite happy to live, say, in a big studio room with a kitchen area in the corner and a door that leads to your bathroom, you could probably get something like that for $100 a month. I'm guessing. Okay, now the level of English that people speak there, from what I could see, even in the non-tourist areas, was better than here in Bangkok. And the reason for that is because thousands and thousands of tourists travel to Siem Reap every year. So anybody who's doing any kind of business, they live in Siem Reap, I'm talking about the Cambodians, they want to speak English because they want to be able to communicate. I had no problem whatsoever communicating with everybody. And even in the local market, a guy... he couldn't speak much English, but he could actually speak Thai, you know. So I don't think, even out of the tourist areas, you know, the English is very broken. Of course it is. In the tourist area, that you can have a discussion very fluently with all the waitresses and the bars and everything. They're very good. It's very good for that sort of thing. You are going to experience the odd power cut. Now, when I was there, this is something that happens fairly frequently, but not as often as it used to years ago, apparently. So I went back to the hotel one afternoon. I'd been out, I'd had lunch, it was about 2 o'clock, and I thought, well, I'll go back and have a little sleep, you know, 1.5 hours, and I'll come out later. And the whole street was out, and I said to the owner, a very nice guy, he said, yeah, I don't know how long it's going to be out. Sometimes it's out 5 minutes, sometimes it's out for an hour. So all I did, I went over to a local coffee shop on the other side of the street, and that side of the street had power. It was just this side where my hotel was, so I wasn't very lucky. I sat and had a very nice, a couple of coffees, actually. I spoke to one of the waitresses there, a bit quiet. I had a snack, and I could see Starbucks. Yeah, they have Starbucks in Siem Reap. I could see the Starbucks was dark inside, and it's not going to be like that normally. So I sat there drinking coffee, and as soon as I seen the lights ping on in Starbucks, that was it. Bill paid and back to the hotel. But you have to be aware of that. You know, if you're one of those guys, you need everything to work absolutely correctly. You get irritated when things don't go right. Then Cambodia, Siem Reap, probably isn't the place for you. You need to be one of those people with a mindset like, you know, it happens. You know, I'm here, I'm enjoying the country, I'm having a nice lifestyle. It doesn't always go right. You know what I mean? You need to have that mindset. Just something I want to touch on, really. If you're one of those people who don't want to be near tourists, although thousands and thousands of tourists go to Siem Reap every year to look at the temples and what have you, you can put yourself away from that kind of scene. That's a small area, as I said earlier. The tourists tend to stay in hotels that are right in the city centre, and when they go out and eat and drink, they tend to kind of hang around Pub Street, the western area. Some of them might want to get into the local culture a little bit and just branch off a little bit, like I did when I went to the market at the river and had dinner one night. But generally speaking, if you lived in the city, you wouldn't be seen foreigners on each corner, because I know there's a lot of guys, they don't want to live in areas where it's just nothing but foreigners, you know, expat areas. And I, for one, I like to be in the middle. I don't want to be totally local, but I don't want to be living in a tourist area. Hence where I live in Bangkok. It's a nice mix. I'm in a tourist area where they've got everything. 5 minutes on my scooter, and I'm in a totally Thai neighborhood. Now, internet is very, very fast. I was very surprised, actually, especially in the centre of the city. You can get a good internet package for between $10 and $20 a month. The hotel where I was staying, I hooked onto their internet. It was very, very good. Just a quick tip, if you're here in Thailand, if you're an expat already living here in Thailand and you fancy going to Cambodia for a few days, you can actually buy a very, very cheap roaming package like I did. So I've just recently changed from True to AIS, which the service is better when you're out of Bangkok. And I phoned them up, speak English, and they advised me if I'm going to Cambodia for 3 days, buy the roaming package, 199 baht, which give me three, I think it was three, however they measure it, KB, is it, MK? Anyway, the three. And then they slow it down after that. But that was fast enough, you know what I mean? So if you're going from Thailand to Cambodia and you're going on a little visit and the phone's important to you for checking your emails and keeping in touch with people, then it's very, very cheap to do that. Okay, so was there anything negative about Siem Reap when I was there and Cambodia as a rule? I couldn't see a lot of negative things, but there is one thing you have to think about if you're getting on in years. I'm 65 now. Thankfully, touch wood, I've still got my health. I take statins and some other bits and pieces, but generally speaking, I get around, and No major problems at the moment. Something you need to think about if you're going to live in Cambodia, the hospitals are not on a par with Thailand. You know, in Thailand, the hospitals are absolutely excellent, first class, world class. You pay for the service, but they have different levels, but they're all very, very good. Even the public hospitals for the Thais here in Thailand. Not so much in Cambodia. Now, from what I've read, simple things like I can't think of a simple injury, an injury, a broken leg, for instance, or something like that. Yeah, the Cambodian hospitals can deal with it. Infections where you have to have injections, you know, maybe you catch something viral, they can sort all that out. But things that are quite major, like maybe a heart attack or a stroke, I'm not saying they can't, I haven't looked into it, but from what I've read, most people in Cambodia who can afford it, what they do, they'll fly to Ho Chi Minh City or they'll go over the border to Bangkok, and that's what they do. So you have to keep that in mind. And in fact, when I was having a meal in the Red Piano, which I talked about a lot in my last video, very nice restaurant on the corner of Pub Street, junction of Pub Street, I should say, I was talking to one of the waitresses. I had quite a nice conversation with her about all things Cambodia and all things Thailand while I was waiting for my meal. And she actually said she's got a sister who became ill, and she actually had to take her to a hospital in Thailand. And what she did, they took the bus and they went over the border, got it sorted and came back. So you do need to be aware of that. If you're somebody who you think's going to visit hospitals quite a bit, then be aware you might need, Cambodia might not be the place for you. Okay, so that's most of the information that I've got for you based on my visit. And as I said, I'm no expert. I didn't go to the capital. It was only a 2-day visit, but you can take in a lot in 2 days. You really can. So my summary on the place, for me personally, could I live in Cambodia? The answer is yes, I certainly could. Now, I don't want to leave Cambodia, Thailand. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I don't want to leave Thailand. My level of Thai speaking is up to a better standard now, so having to start from scratch again would be difficult, although, as I mentioned, most of them speak English over there. And I love Thailand, you know, I love everything about it, but as I keep saying, it's constantly changing. It's not, everywhere changes and improves, but it is getting stricter, it is getting harder to do things. And if it gets to the point where I couldn't jump through the hoops that they want me to jump through, then I don't want to go back to the UK. I really don't. Now, I'm not slating the UK. I'm not running it down. I'm just saying, again, personally, I don't want to go back to the UK. I don't want to. So where else is there to go? And as I said, the other countries that I mentioned at the beginning don't really interest me. So after visiting Cambodia, yes, I could live there. I could get a cheap apartment, $200-300 a month. The food is very palatable. I can buy most of the items I need to cook. I do a lot of cooking. I don't know about clothes shopping. I didn't look into that. But don't forget as well, because Cambodia and Thailand are very, very cheap. You could do every 3 months, you could do a shopping trip to Bangkok. It's 5,500 baht return on AirAsia. Or if you're really living on a tight budget, there's a bus. I think it takes like 12 or 16 hours, but it's dirt cheap. You know, if you could handle I know guys who can. I can't handle a 12, 16 hour bus ride, just not because my body won't take it, but I just find it so incredibly boring that I'd probably throw myself out the window halfway, you know. So you can fly every 5.5 months. Now, I intend to go on another exploring mission, you could say. But the next time I go, I want to go for maybe 5 days, and I want to really start looking at things. As I keep saying, I've got no plans to leave Thailand and move to Cambodia. But if you're one of those guys, you're thinking of coming to Thailand, or perhaps you've retired here in Thailand already, and you're on a kind of minimal budget, or your money doesn't go as far as you thought it would, then it's something you could think about. You know, could Cambodia suit you? You'd certainly save a lot more living in Cambodia. But as far as the entertainment scene goes, if you're one of those guys who likes to entertain the ladies, I can't really give you any information on that, other than there's in Siem Reap, for instance, there's no go-go bars, that's for sure. I didn't come across any bars that were full of ladies. I was told that there are freelancers that hang around Walking Street around after midnight, but as I was there to see the temples, I was in my hotel room by 10 o'clock, 10:30 latest, so I didn't actually see them. So if you're one of those sort of guys who wants to have many dates, as it were, I don't know if online dating would work in Cambodia. So if you've got a partner already, and perhaps the two of you could go there and see what you think of it. Even a Thai girl, if she's married to you, she might not mind because it's so easy to get back to Thailand, isn't it? Right, that's all I can tell you about it at the moment. So for myself personally, as I say, I could go and live in Cambodia, but I don't want to, if that makes sense. Now, if you've enjoyed this video, please give me a thumbs up. It helps with the YouTube algorithm. If you've got any questions, something you'd want to ask me about Cambodia that I might have missed out on, I don't know if I'd know the answer, but you can certainly ask me and leave your question in the comments section below. I answer all my comments, and perhaps it's something else somebody else wants to know as well. Okay, thanks for watching me again. Thanks for listening. I hope the video's been informative, and if you're going to Cambodia anytime soon, have a good time. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Thanks for watching.